And I think this is a wider point just in terms of like network and relationship building, but it's around like, actually doing your research around the person and what interests them.
Mm.
And also with someone like him, I would look at it and say, in Dublin, for example, his wife was there and his executive assistant, who's like, basically is so heavily involved in what he's doing, and they were standing there kind of, and no one was kind of speaking to them. And I was thinking, like,
Yes.
if you'd done a little bit of research, and I look, this is not an easy thing to do, but I'm thinking that actually might have been a better route than hundreds of people trying to go to him, right? So I think the wider point is do your research. And then the second point I forgot to make is actually one of the guests who came through Necker was Chris Sacca, so lowercase capital, one of the most successful investors. And it really, and there's lots of different videos and interviews with him. So I'm not breaking confidence, but one of the things he speaks about is like just be interesting. Like he's like, I like meeting interesting people. So, for me, and like he talks about like people that have worked terrible jobs, people that have traveled the world, people that have, hitchhiked across, like just be interesting, right? I think
Right.
sometimes we forget about that in terms of we think about, I have to do this course, or I have to get this degree, or I have to tick this box or whatever. When, sometimes it's just around like, just be a fascinating person, be someone that, would you want to sit beside this person at dinner effectively? And I think that's
Yeah.
a good, measure.
No, it's very true. And I think a lot of us, we tend to have done very cool things and then just forget about them and move on to the
Hmm.
next thing. We're often living in the future. A couple of points around that, because it is very applicable to building networks beyond that is, yeah, again, as I said to you, I think that if you look at Richard, he isn't actually involved in a lot of the businesses. If you're actually pitching something for the private equity side or for Virgin Unite or for Virgin Galactic, whatever these businesses, actually he's not really the person to be
Hmm.
pitching about, like, and what his interest, a lot of his interests around the charity side now rather than the business side. So actually if you can get the next tier down. And I remember exactly to your point, I was at a banking event with Toto Wolff from
Oh
Mercedes.
yeah,
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 and that's another legend. And yeah, of course, the entire room was focused on him. And then his PA was standing at the back all alone. And I was like, oh, what a great opportunity. I'll go and talk to her. And yeah, of course, much, much easier to talk to her and find out where he was going to be later and what he was
yeah,
interested
yeah,
in.
one
It's a
hundred percent.
very good point.
Who's the gatekeeper? Like, who's the, who holds the keys, basically? And
Yeah.
yeah, so I think I think you, especially with people like that, you have to be a little bit creative in terms of how you kind of get to them.